In the shadowed embrace of the Sierra Nevada mountains, where the whisper of pine trees masked the secrets of a fading railroad town called Keddie, California, stood a cluster of weathered cabins. It was here, in the unassuming refuge of Cabin 28, that a family's quest for a fresh start dissolved into unimaginable horror on a chilly April night in 1981. No one heard the screams, or if they did, they dismissed them as echoes of the wind. But by dawn, 4 lives had been brutally extinguished, leaving a trail of blood, unanswered questions, and a mystery that would haunt investigators for decades. What twisted rage could unleash such violence in a place so remote? And why were some spared while others were torn apart? Glenna Sue Sharp, a 36-year-old mother of 5, had fled an abusive marriage in Connecticut, seeking solace in the rugged beauty of Northern California. In November 1980, she rented Cabin 28 at the Keddie Resort, a modest collection of homes once bustling with loggers and railroad workers, but now a quiet haven for those down on their luck. With her were her children, 15-year-old John, a typical teen with a rebellious streak, 14-year-old Sheila, mature beyond her years, 12-year-old Tina, bright and curious, 10-year-old Rick, and 5-year-old Greg. Sue worked odd jobs to make ends meet, fostering a tight-knit family bond amid the isolation. The evening of April 11th began innocently enough, like any other in this sleepy enclave. Sue, Sheila, and Greg had spent the afternoon picking up Rick from baseball tryouts in nearby Quincy, then swung by to collect John and his 17-year-old friend, Dana Wingate, who were hitchhiking home. Dana, a troubled youth from a foster home, often hung out with John, the two sharing adventures in the small town. Later, John and Dana headed back to Quincy for the evening, perhaps grabbing a bite or just wandering. Sheila left around 8 p.m. for a sleepover at the neighboring Seabolt's Cabin 27, while Tina popped over there briefly to watch TV before returning home around 9:30 p.m. Sue stayed in with the younger boys, Rick, Greg, and their 12-year-old friend Justin Eason, sometimes referred to as Justin Smart, who was spending the night. Justin lived in nearby Cabin 26 with his mother, Marilyn, her volatile husband Martin Marty Smart, and Marty's friend Severin John Bo Bubede, a drifter staying with them temporarily. As the night deepened, something sinister stirred. Around 1:15 a.m., a couple in Cabin 16 thought they heard muffled screams but couldn't pinpoint the source and drifted back to sleep. No one else stirred. The next morning, around 7:45 a.m. on April 12th, Sheila returned from her sleepover, eager for a lazy Sunday. What she found shattered her world. The front door ajar, the living room a tableau of terror. Her mother Sue lay on her side near the sofa, partially nude from the waist down, her throat slashed horizontally through the larynx, nicking her spine. She had been beaten savagely with a hammer and a Daisy 880 Powerline BB pellet rifle, her head bearing the rifle's imprint. A blue bandana and her own underwear had been stuffed into her mouth as a gag, secured with medical tape. Nearby, John was on his back, his throat slashed and head battered by blunt force. Dana lay face down beside him, strangled and bludgeoned with a hammer until his skull caved in. Both boys were bound at the ankles with electrical wire and medical tape, their feet tied together. Blood spattered the walls and floor, with knife marks gouged into the plaster as if in a frenzy. A bent kitchen knife, another bloodied knife, a claw hammer, and a pellet gun lay scattered, along with a single pellet on the floor, evidence the gun had been used as a bludgeon. Drops of blood trailed to Tina's bed, but the girl was gone, vanished without a trace. Hysterical, Sheila fled to the Seabolts. Jamie Seabolt, a neighbor, peered through the bedroom window and saw Rick, Greg, and Justin unharmed, still asleep. He helped them out the window to safety, but later admitted briefly entering the cabin through the back door to check for survivors, potentially contaminating the scene. The boys claimed they slept through it all, hearing nothing. But Justin's story would shift, adding layers of intrigue. Initially, he said he dreamed it. Under hypnosis and polygraph, he described witnessing 2 men, one with dark blonde hair, the other with black greased hair, both in gold-framed sunglasses, arguing with Sue, fighting John and Dana, binding them, and dragging Tina out the back door. Amateur sketches of these unknown men were drawn based on his account, but they led nowhere. The Plumas County Sheriff's Office arrived, but the investigation was botched from the start. The crime scene wasn't properly secured. It took hours to notice Tina was missing, despite Justin mentioning it early. No fingerprints were systematically collected, and key evidence like blood samples and fibers went untested or lost. Rumors swirled. Drug trafficking? Satanic ritual? But no drugs or paraphernalia were found in the cabin. The FBI briefly joined for Tina's abduction, but withdrew quickly, deeming state resources sufficient. Witnesses weren't rigorously followed up. Alibis went unchecked. Suspicion soon fell on neighbors Marty Smart and Bo Bubidi. Marty, a Vietnam vet with PTSD, was abusive and short-tempered, selling drugs to get by. He and Bo had been at the backdoor bar that night, inviting Sue for drinks. She declined. Marty hated John, and Marilyn later revealed Marty burned something suspicious in their fireplace the morning after. Days later, Marty reported a claw hammer missing from his home, the same type used in the murders. Bo, a con man with alleged Chicago mob ties, he falsely claimed to be a retired cop, lied about knowing Sue and his timeline in Keddie. They passed polygraphs, dismissed by critics as unreliable, and were cleared. But weeks after, from Oregon, Marty sent Marilyn a chilling letter on flowery stationery. "I've paid the price of your love, and now that I've bought it with 4 people's lives, you tell me we are through. Great. What else do you want?" It was overlooked initially. Theories proliferated, each more chilling than the last. Was it premeditated revenge? Some believe Sue was the target, perhaps for an alleged affair with Marty or for counseling Marilyn to leave his abuse. John and Dana stumbled upon the attack, dying because they got in the way, while Tina was kidnapped, possibly for rape, and killed elsewhere to silence her as a witness. Others speculate Bo's criminal connections pointed to a mob hit, though evidence is thin. Why spare the boys? Perhaps the killers heard them sleeping and feared more noise or identification. Dissenters argue the unknown men from Justin's hypnosis were real intruders, unrelated to the neighbors. And the medical tape? Not from the Sharps' home, suggesting the attackers came prepared. Tina's fate added to the enigma. On April 11, 1984, exactly 3 years later, a bottle collector found her skull and jawbone 29 miles away near Feather Falls. An anonymous caller tipped authorities, but the recording mysteriously vanished. Investigators suspect the discovery was staged by someone involved. Years passed, the case growing cold amid accusations of incompetence. Marty died in 2000, Bo in 1988. But in 2001, Marty's therapist revealed a confession. Marty admitted killing Sue to stop her from influencing Marilyn, boasting he beat the polygraph thanks to his friendship with Sheriff Doug Thomas. Renewed efforts came in the 2010s under Special Investigator Mike Gamberg, who lambasted the original probe as worse than a rookie's work. In 2016, a hammer matching Marty's missing one was unearthed from a nearby pond, deliberately hidden. A hunting knife surfaced from debris, and the anonymous call tape was rediscovered. Then, in 2018, DNA from crime scene tape matched a known living suspect, identity undisclosed, but fueling hope. Yet, as of 2026, the Keddie murders remain unsolved, a festering wound in true crime lore. Cabin 28 was demolished in 2004, but the ghosts linger. Was it a crime of passion, a botched cover-up, or something darker? The evidence points fingers, but justice eludes. In the quiet of those mountains, the truth may still be waiting to scream. For more about this unsolved case and many more unsolved true crimes, subscribe to Escape Justice.